Good evening. It's Mr. Louise Starr. And tonight I thought I'd talk about a paper I wrote myself on reforming education in America, since President Obama was discussing it so frequently during his first campaign for presidency. I wrote a paper entitled School Vouchers, Charter Schools, and/or Funding for Public Education, These Choices and the American Tax Dollar. Decisions, decisions, decisions. Where to spend tax revenue destined for one of three choices insofar of what President Obama's campaign promises they were discussing insofar as equitable educational reform in America. The correct decision for President Obama would be to use the American tax revenue for an equitable combination of funding of all three choices: one, charter schools; two, school vouchers; and also to continue funding public schools in America. To withdraw in whole or in part of governmental tax funding from public education in and of itself would be a very grave mistake for President Obama, especially during an election year. It would be sending signals that would reverberate throughout America that one of the most important guarantees that the United States of America gives its minor children, namely that all minor school children living in America possess the same identical civil political right to obtain an equally high standard of education in America, is flawed, and that all American school children do not obtain an equal right to a quality education in America. Returning to something like busing would make racism matters worse in America, and the United States would risk riots unlike those which occurred in the 1960s when I was growing up, and busing took place where I lived in Syosset, Long Island. It was a grave mistake. People didn't like it. And it created a conundrum and all kinds of problems regarding racism. I went to a very good school. It was a white neighborhood, very wealthy in Syosset, Long Island, which was busing black children in from poor neighborhoods, and the neighborhood went crazy. And there was increasing friction between blacks and whites and riots. Investing in charter schools is an equally important component involved in educational reform in America and must not be neglected by President Obama in any way, shape, or form. This is because culturally diverse, closed communities exist in many places in America, such as in the Amish community in Pennsylvania. Closed communities such as the Amish in Pennsylvania and the Quakers and others, many others, have the same civic political right and should continue to do so, to possess the right to religious freedom and to also have their children obtain a quality education in America while adhering to their religious freedom practices that are contained in the American constitutional law. Presently, the Amish community has many problems practicing their right thereto. Religious freedom combined with trying to give their children in the Amish community a quality education. This is owed because the Amish are not obtaining through governmental funding enough money, tax revenue, to buy books, tables, schools, and quality teaching teachers and other things that are necessary, educational resources such as books, school supplies, etc., involved in quality education to fund their own charter schools in the Amish communities in which they can protect their right to practice their particular religion in America in conjunction with educating their closed communities and their children. This is why particularly using tax revenues to continue funding private charter schools is extremely important in America. Thirdly, in addition, school vouchers is very important and offers parents an intelligent alternative to both sending their children to either a public school or a charter school or a private school. In other words, parents not opting to send their children to a public education locally for various reasons, such as violence, gangs, or just poor education in inner cities in general, can use such vouchers to send their child to a governmental funded charter school instead, manifesting the importance of President Obama's promising to reform education in America, employing a combination of all three of these strategies to resolve the problem of educational reform. Jill Starr recommends spending an equal amount of tax revenue for charter schools, for public schools, and also for school vouchers. And I haven't heard what President Obama thinks about lately regarding educational reform, which we all know needs to desperately come to fruition in America. But I'd like to ask you, President Obama, what's on your agenda regarding reforming public education so people like myself do not get discriminated against for being permanently disabled, according to the Americans with Disabilities Act, like Hillary Clinton discriminated vilely and disgustingly against me during her campaign for senator in New York in the future. Inquiring minds would like to know. In fact, I'd like to discuss a little bit more about Hillary Clinton discriminating against me. When she was campaigning for senator race in New York, I personally called her campaign headquarters, Arnold Stark, Professor Stark, who's in the teachers union. He's a very honest man. He may be many things, but he's very honest. And he did give a deposition when I filed my civil rights case against the new school for dismissing me on my political views against the NATO bombing, against the former Yugoslavia without UN Security Council approval unilaterally during Bill Clinton's presidency. And also they accommodate what my doctor asked them to give me an extension to complete my paperwork because of my pain and emotional disabilities. I'm on Social Security. I have been for 20 years, and I'm on Medicare. And the new school, so they are a private school, and even though they accept your tax dollars, which is Title IV monies, they threw me out. They threw me out at David Plotke, who is the chair of the political science department at the New School for Social Research, at knife point at that time. He took a Swiss knife, he came towards me with it, and later he used it against me when I tried to get into other schools. He said that Jill was dangerous because she goes to psychiatric therapy, and he had to take that knife out to protect himself, which is an absolute lie, and I have not been able to get my master's degree since, and I've defaulted on my loans, and it's a tragedy for me personally. I would like to discuss what Hillary Clinton had to do with this. I'm just looking right here to see if I can find that information, because I think it's extremely important to discuss. But unfortunately, I can't find it right now. So I will discuss it later, but in no means, Hillary Clinton, are you going to get away with this? Because I'm going to tell the public exactly how you handled my disability discrimination case when you were running for senator in New York City.